His hands clawed at the earth, not to plant, but to search for anything they might have missed. The soil was no longer a place of life, but a grave for his hopes. His breath hitched, a ragged sound in the eerie quiet of the dawn. All around him, the vibrant sanctuary he had built lay in ruins, a brutalized wasteland of broken stems and trampled dreams. And there, on the shed wall, a single, hateful word screamed in fresh paint, a message meant just for him. This was not random vandalism, it was a declaration of war. Just weeks before, that same patch of earth was a symphony of life and color. Under the warm sun, the community garden thrived, a lush oasis that Elias had single-handedly wrestled from the grip of a neglected, trash-strewn lot. He was the living heart of this place, his presence as constant and nurturing as the sunlight. You could find him most days, his hands, now clean and sure, gently guiding a child's small fingers to drop a seed into the soil, or patiently helping Mrs. Gable from down the street prop up her heavy tomato vines. This was more than a hobby, it was a sanctuary, a vibrant tapestry woven from the diverse threads of his neighborhood, a place where everyone had a plot and a purpose. But Elias's own pride was a quiet, private corner where he nurtured something extraordinary. Tucked away near the old oak tree was a single, delicate flower, a variety no one in the neighborhood had ever seen before. For months, he had cared for it with a reverence that bordered on sacred, adjusting its sunlight, testing the soil's pH, and protecting its fragile petals from the wind. It was his secret masterpiece, a symbol of a beauty that could flourish even in the most unexpected places. As he knelt beside it, checking its progress with a soft smile, the garden was a perfect, peaceful world. He had no idea that its very existence had already drawn a jealous and hateful eye, and that the world he built was already being measured for its destruction. The first act of destruction was small, almost dismissible. One morning, Elias found a row of newly sprouted lettuce trampled into the mud. He sighed, attributing it to the carelessness of children at play, and gently replanted what he could. But the peace was fractured. A few days later, Mr. Hemlock arrived, his expensive shoes crunching unnaturally on the gravel path. He was a man whose smile never reached his eyes, a local businessman who owned the aging warehouses that bordered the garden. He spoke with a false warmth, suggesting that a young man like Elias had a bright future that shouldn't be wasted digging in the dirt. He casually unveiled his own vision for the land, a stark, paved parking lot, and made a thinly veiled offer to buy Elias's trouble away from him. Elias's refusal was polite but firm, his roots in this soil too deep to be bought. Hemlock's smile vanished, and the polite pressure curdled into open hostility. The garden was no longer a target of random mischief but of a focused campaign of fear. A typed note, its words cold and threatening, appeared in Elias's mailbox, warning him to abandon his weed-filled lot. The very next night, the garden's main water spigot was wrenched until it snapped, sending a precious torrent of water flooding the paths before it could be shut off. The community felt the change like a drop in temperature. Parents hesitated to bring their children, and the elderly tended their plots in wary silence, casting nervous glances toward Hemlock's properties. The garden, once a symbol of open trust, now felt like a fortress under siege. Yet, Elias refused to be driven out. His resolve, instead of crumbling, hardened. Neighbors, initially fearful, saw his unwavering commitment and began to rally around him. They organized a neighborhood watch, taking turns in pairs during the evening hours. Their solidarity was a powerful shield, and for a few days, a fragile calm returned. Elias allowed himself to believe that their collective stand had worked, that the shadow had passed. He focused on his rare flower, which was just beginning to show the promise of a magnificent bloom, a beacon of his hope. This fragile sense of victory was a delusion. The silence from his enemies was not surrender, it was the quiet before the storm. The final, brutal lesson was coming, and it would teach him that some forms of hatred could not be reasoned with, only witnessed and survived. The night before the harvest festival, a cacophony of splintering wood and cruel laughter shattered the silence, carrying all the way to Elias's small apartment. His heart plummeted, and he ran, a cold dread propelling him toward the garden. He arrived to a scene of methodical annihilation. Under the harsh glare of their truck's headlights, Mr. Hemlock's two sons moved through his sanctuary like a plague. Their shovels rose and fell, not to till, but to pulverize, crushing months of tender care into the mud. One of them swung a can of spray paint, adding vulgar slurs to the destruction, while the other bragged about teaching the neighborhood a lesson, their words clearly implicating their father as the architect of this ruin. A hot, blinding rage surged through Elias, screaming for him to charge in and fight. But as his eyes fell upon the mangled remains of his rare flower, a chilling clarity cut through the fury. Confronting them would only make him another victim, another violent statistic. Justice needed witnesses, not more violence. His hands trembled not with fear, but with a focused intensity as he pulled out his phone. He became a ghost in the shadows, the red recording light a single, unblinking eye capturing every despicable act, every hateful word. This was no longer just his fight, it was evidence for the world to see. Once he had secured the digital testimony, he melted back into the darkness, his voice eerily calm as he spoke to the police dispatcher, ensuring the authorities would arrive to find the vandals trapped in the spotlight of their own making. The sound of approaching sirens cut through the night, and the two brothers froze, their smug confidence dissolving into panicked confusion as they realized, too late, that they were the ones who had been caught. The video did not just go viral, it became a firestorm. Mr. Hemlock and his sons were not just shamed locally but faced a tsunami of public outrage and swift legal consequences, their names forever tied to the ugly scene of destruction. But the true story of the aftermath was not about their downfall. On the following Saturday morning, a quiet miracle unfolded. The entire community, and people from neighboring towns who had seen the footage, arrived not with anger, but with tools, seeds, saplings, and determined hearts. The scarred earth, which had felt so final, was soon buzzing with an energy more powerful than any hate. Together, they worked. They cleared the debris, turned the soil anew, and built raised beds even stronger than the last. The garden began to rise again, not as a replica of what was lost, but as something more profound, more resilient, and infinitely more beautiful. In the center of it all, Elias knelt, his hands once more caked in the rich, dark soil. But this time, he was not alone. He held not a fragile flower, but the sturdy root ball of a young sapling. As he placed it into the earth, patting the soil firmly around its base, he was planting more than a tree, he was planting a legacy. It was a promise of deep roots and lasting shade, a living monument to the truth that hatred can only destroy what is temporary, but a united community can build something that is truly eternal. The scar remained, but it was now a badge of honor, a reminder that from the deepest darkness, the most resilient light can grow.